Hello, good afternoon, greetings, good evening, whenever you're watching. Welcome to another episode of Coaching for Coaches. I'm your host, Miles Grant, founder of Master Coach Trainer. And in this episode, I'm going to be doing a live coaching demonstration. So if you're not in our world per se, you've not been through our Master Coach programs, and this will give you a sneak preview, give you the chance to check me out, check us out, how we do things here over at Master Coach. And also, I think it'll be a really good opportunity if you are a coach or have aspirations to be a coach to get a coaching experience yourself. I've been privy to coaching experiences where I wasn't the person being coached, but I've been listening in or watching in via Zoom or whatever it is. And I've actually found that I've had some really profound breakthroughs myself, even though I wasn't the one being coached. So what I'd like you to do, if you're watching, is to watch it through two lenses. One, how a coaching experience is facilitated in today's day and age. And two, maybe perhaps watch it through a lens of when the questions are asked, maybe think about what that answer would be for you. So, because you never know, you may perhaps, because some people that have watched these sessions before, you may have a breakthrough. You never know. So strap yourself in. So welcome, Emma in the house. Emma, great to have you with us this evening.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Very well. Great to have you here. Great to have you here, Emma. So, Emma, let me start by asking a question that I may have asked you before, but it's a question I always like to start off a coaching experience with. It's a bit of a warm-up question. It is I have to check the date because I never know. It's the 16th of January, 2024. Let's imagine that by some bizarre way, we have a time machine. I'm a Back to the Future fan, so amuse me, those that are watching. And we fast forward, we get in a time machine, we fast forward to the 16th of January, 2025. And when we fast forward to 2025, January 16th, you and I are having a conversation by design or coincidence. And I'm asking you how things are in your journey, life, coaching practice, maybe one of the things that we talk about. And you say, oh my God, things are amazing. Things are incredible. My coaching has taken off. Life and business is exactly the way that I would have designed and wanted it to be within a year. And then I say, well, amazing. Tell us your secret so we know how to share that for other people so they know what to do for themselves. And then you say, well, there's so much that I've obviously been doing and so much action that I've had to do in the past year, a lot of hard work, obviously. But we had this conversation back on the 16th of January, 2024. And there were some things that we spoke about in that conversation that really made a big difference. There were some breakthroughs in there, and it really, really helped to help me get clear about the year ahead. And it probably was a defining conversation. So my question in this moment, 16th of January, 2024, Emma, is if it were possible for this conversation to be like that impactful for you, that it had such a profound impact that it really did help become a catalyst for defining the next 12 months for you. I guess my question is, what would be the headline top level thing that we'd have to have spoken about for that to be true for you a year from now?
Okay, so if me in 5 years' time could say to me now, just stop trying to be perfect and know that you are good enough. And I think at the moment I feel like I'm struggling with like the imposter syndrome. So I think if having sort of knowing now sort of being able to look back in 5 years time and being able to say to myself, stop trying to overthink things, and just go for it.
Okay. I'm curious, what makes it hard to not apply that wisdom right now? When would now be a good time to apply that wisdom that you from the future 5 years has just said?
Now.
So because that's so clear and obvious, what's really going on? Like what's the thing that's underneath all that prevents you from applying what is clearly really freaking great wisdom from Emma 5 years into the future?
I think because I do struggle with perfectionism, and I think because I'm aware there's certain things in my life that aren't sort of how I would like them to be, and kind of working on those. I think in terms of going on my own coaching sort of journey, I'm kind of thinking, who am I? Like, who am I to, coach other people when certain aspects of my life aren't, how I want them to be. Maybe they're more successful, or they're more abundant in certain areas. So it's kind of that doubting myself.
Okay. So for the benefit of those that are watching, and Emma, just so you know, you're like, what's he doing there? He's making notes. That's what I'm doing. So, in case you were thinking, he's not very present, is it? I'm making notes, just so you're aware. Okay, thanks, Emma. Thanks for sharing. So there's a few things that have come up for me that I thought I would share. And for those of you that are in our World Master Coach, you'll know. So the way that we coach in a way that's what we call framework coaching. And then I personally coach my private clients now in a way that is more freestyle coaching. So I'm going to do a hybrid of both for tonight. So I'm going to break the rules of coaching a little bit and give some feedback to the language that you've used, and because I feel that it will serve you. So one thing that came up for me was what I call the congruence issue. So the congruence issue, Emma, basically is where if there's an area of your life where you feel you're not practicing what you preach, then that will be a stumbling block in your coaching. Yeah. The good thing is it's easy to fix. It's identify it, become aware of it, admit it, and then resolve it. Doesn't mean it needs to be perfect. It just means we've got to be working on it. Like Tony Robbins once told me, progress equals happiness. He then goes on to say, even if you're not exactly where you want to be yet, as long as you're making progress, you'll feel good. Yeah, progress equals happiness. So the congruence issue is, if you're not practicing what you preach, then you will get found out, and you'll feel that, and you'll find it hard to sell coaching. So here's an obvious congruence issue I see with coaches. An obvious one is coaches that don't have their own coach. An obvious one is coaches who are selling a £3,000 coaching program and they're not in a £3,000 coaching program. That's an incongruence. An incongruence is a coach that talks about state but then shouts at their kids, or a coach that talks about bringing joy to the day and they're complaining about the smell of the wheelie bins. Like it's just bad examples, but it's incongruences that will energetically be like, it's like congruence is like a perfume. It either smells good or it smells bad, right? And prospects, potential coaching clients, can smell your incongruencies in my life. So like about a year and a half ago, I noticed there was some old emotional triggers. People were starting to just kind of jar me and piss me off about stuff that I was like, this isn't cool. This feels incongruent. Like this doesn't feel like I'm living in alignment with the role model that I'm putting out there, right? So I went and got loads of therapy because I was like, I need to heal that. There's clearly some stuff there that I need to deal with. I need to fix some shit because it was bothering me, and now I feel more congruent because now I'm not perfect, but I can go, well, at least if something triggers me now, at least I know I'm doing a therapeutic practice to work on it, and I'm willing to admit it and can happily talk about it on a Zoom or a live and say, yeah, I'm having therapy because of X, Y, Z. Yeah. So where is there an area right now where you feel you're out of integrity, where you're not living congruently?
For me, I think my own sort of personal health, probably.
Okay.
In terms of exercising more, getting into a better mindset, and yeah, sort of, I suppose, diet as well. And I think because that's kind of the area that I'm in terms of my background, you know, I am within healthcare. So yeah, I feel like I need to be a better example.
For sure.
Probably why I know I need to do better.
Great. Good. So two simple things that I've learned in this area that can really help. So the first is, for those of you that are unaware of this, in our Master Coach framework, one of the sessions we do what we call a life indicators assessment. And this is a scorecard to rate yourself from 0 to 10, only competing with yourself, nobody else. Talk about that again. We'll talk about that shortly. And to score yourself, and then once you've scored yourself, to decide, you know, what is a simple habit to improve yourself 1 point on the dial. So my question to you with that in mind, Emma, is if we kind of put personal health, exercise and nutrition into one zone, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Where would you rate yourself on a 0 is kind of the baddest, worst you've ever been. 10 is, oh yeah, back then, 3 years ago, I was nailing it. I was definitely my 10. You know, where would you say you are on your scale right now?
Probably a 4.
Okay. And rather than labor on the 4, what's a simple habit that's like, if I just did that, that would shift me to a 5?
Just, I think getting up in the morning and just going for a walk.
Okay.
Just to set me up for the day.
Great. So with that said, because you've so quickly articulated that, what's been the thing that has so far prevented that from happening?
I think honestly, just laziness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So a lack of motive to take action is totally normal. So here's a way that I would consider looking at that might help. So we all have, according to Maslow, you can look at Maslow's hierarchy. I'm probably more down with, say, like Tony Robbins' 6 human needs. We all have 6 human needs, Emma, if you're unfamiliar with this. And so basically, to take you through the needs, we have a need for certainty, we have a need for variety, we have a need for significance, we have a need for connection and love, we have a need for growth and a need for contribution. What's stopping you from going out for that walk is your human needs order. So it might be perhaps that there's more certainty in staying in bed. It might be more comfortable to do that than to go out, because to go out requires you to get out of your comfort zone, and that isn't a natural thing that any of us like to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
So a way to maybe rethink about the walking in the morning that might help is to look at it through the lens of going out for the walk is going to help me grow. What I would say though is if the walk doesn't feel that it would be challenging, it may be that that might need to be substituted for something else that is more challenging. So,
Mhm.
for example, not saying this is what you should do, but it's an illustration. For me, the idea of going for a walk in the morning, it doesn't jazz me. Going for a run in the morning or doing 20 minutes of HIIT cardio in the kitchen does, because I know it's going to elevate my heart rate to a point where I'm in a really good state. It's going to
Yeah.
put me out of breath. And when I finish, there's a sense of accomplishment and achievement that I just don't get when I go for a walk.
Mhm.
When I walk, in fact, I can tell you straight up, I never walk by myself. I'm either on the phone or it's with Sati and the kids. The idea of walking by myself is like boring as fuck. It's boring because I don't get growth out of walking. It's like, where's the growth? So the
Yeah.
only way I can make it work for me is if I'm on the phone, which means I'm maybe coaching someone or having a conversation, or I'm with Sati and the kids, which means I'm getting connection, which means it's a shared experience, which all of a sudden means the walk is a pleasurable thing. That's just me. So it might be that the walk isn't meeting one of your human needs, which is why you're not doing it.
Okay.
Another way of thinking about it is through the lens of contribution, meaning if you thought about your walk was done with a friend who also needs to walk, and you said, hey, do you fancy walking together? All of a sudden, you're making a contribution to somebody else getting fit, which might give you more motive to do it because then you know you're helping somebody else.
Mhm.
Or if you knew that you were going to, I don't know, record a live video or you were going to coach someone on the phone while you're walking, all of a sudden, that walk now has new energy because you know every time I go for a walk, I'm going to do a video that might be of value to somebody else, straight
Mhm.
away contribution.
Mhm.
So then you are getting growth and you're getting contribution too. And Robbins would say that actually, for us to be motivated consistently, whatever we do, we want to make growth and contribution at the front of it.
Mhm. Okay.
How does that? What are your thoughts now, thinking about that through now that you've been given that kind of lens at looking at it?
Yeah, I think for me, maybe listening to a podcast or something, so I'm learning
Sure,
something,
for sure.
um, more, in a topic of interest
Yeah,
or, yeah. So I know when I get up to go for a walk, I know that I'm going to learn something, grow, take that into the day.
yeah. Yeah, good. I love that. And I'm a big believer in net time, which is no extra time where you combine exercise with something else.
Yeah.
Um, I hate washing up. When I wash up, there's always learning on the Google screen in the kitchen.
Mhm.
The idea of washing up or cleaning the house without learning, my brain
Yeah.
wants to explode.
Yeah.
But if before we got on this broadcast, I was putting because our house now we've got two children. It's like a craziness. Like there's piles and segments of clothes. It's mad. While I was putting closing piles on the bed, I had breath work on.
Okay.
So for me, it's like if I'm going to do something that I might consider a bit laborious, I go, I either need to grow
Mhm.
or it needs to be a contribution. For me, putting clothes away is a boring activity, but having learning or breath work on means that I'm growing.
Yeah.
And because I know that it will help Sati out, I'm also making a contribution because then she's less stressed,
Mhm.
which means that then we have an even better marriage and it affects the connection as well. So it's about thinking, okay, how can I get growth and contribution into everything I do?
Yeah.
Because then that will make you more motivated to do it.
Yes. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Mhm.
And then with mindset, where would you rate your mindset on a scorecard right now, 0 to 10?
Um, it's a tricky one because I kind of know I have where I want to go. It's just sort of getting there. But definitely room for improvement. I think because I'm aware of the things that I need to improve, I think a 6.
Okay, good. And without labouring on the score, what's a simple habit that would move you to a 7?
I keep saying, I'm going to do meditation. So spending 15-20 minutes a day doing meditation.
Okay. And similar to the walking in the morning thing, what would you say is, if you're brutally honest with yourself, what's behind the not doing meditation?
I think it's something I'm not familiar with.
Okay, so there's uncertainty there. Okay, so what would need to happen for you to feel more certain about meditation?
As in, I would need to do something, or
yeah. So it's unfamiliar. So for you to feel okay, meditation feels familiar enough for me to do it, because currently it's unfamiliar. What would need to happen for meditation to feel familiar? Enough for you to do it.
Enough for you to do it. I think just, I don't know, maybe I could, do a class in meditation and, get the actual, experience and knowledge from someone else, I suppose,
Yes.
in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I love that. So what I get from that is that would give you connection, because you'd be meeting other people that are like-minded people, and it would give you growth because you'd be learning about meditation. So I give you an example. I dabbled with meditation, really didn't make it a regular thing, and then years ago I went to a silent retreat for a day. Believe me, can you believe it? I could not talk for a whole day. It is actually possible. And it was amazing. It was incredible. It was a silent retreat for a day, and basically it was just meditation all day. And I came away from that experience, and then I understood meditation, because they taught us why we were in silence and what the silence meant. Incredible experience. If you remind me, I can send you the place where they do those meditation days. So really, really powerful. So yeah, for me, I can definitely relate to that need to understand what is it, why is it, rather than just
trying to do it and not knowing
for sure
why. Well, kind of
for sure. Like, it's understandable that the left brain, the logical part of the brain, wants to know, well, why should I do this? Because I ask Sage to brush her teeth in the morning, and she's like, why? We still have that curiosity, and that's a good thing. And it also shows that you want to grow, because you don't just want to do it, you want to understand it. Because also what that then means is you can then articulate to other people what the benefits of meditation are, and do it from a congruent place. Because I'm guessing you'd like to be in a position where you're on a coaching call with someone and they mention meditation, and you'd love to congruently say, yeah, I do it. I didn't used to, and then I went on a retreat, and now I do it all the time, and here's the benefit it has for me. And love to be able, guessing you'd like to be able to congruently say that, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, I'll make sure I send you that when we get off the phone. There were some other things that came up for me. you spoke about basically, like, forgive me for not paraphrasing, but things not being exactly the way you want them to be yet, etc. There's this thing I heard about years ago called the gap versus the gain. The gap versus the gain. So what that means is, most people, Emma, they live in the gap, which is like, I'll be happy when insert goal, outcome, desired thing that I don't have yet. And actually, scientifically proven that the happiest people in the world don't live in the gap, they live in the gain. Which is what they mean is they spend more time focused on what they already have and spend less time on what they don't have. So they're still goal orientated, but they're not focusing on their goals from a place of lack. They're focused on their goals from a place of moving towards my goal is going to help me grow and it's going to help me contribute to the lives of others. They see their goals as just a fun thing to do because one day, touch wood, we're not going to be here, we're going to die. So we may as well do some cool shit while we're here. But they're not thinking, oh, my life will be better when I've got that. And so I found that there's effectively two ways to deal with that gap versus the gain. Very common sense. You'll obviously know them, but knowing them and doing them are two different things. Number one is journaling gratitude. So like actually writing down or journaling in an app what you're grateful for. I historically used to journal gratitude in the morning, and then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start taking this to another level. So I probably journal gratitude 4 or 5 times a day, and I've noticed a difference. So it's like being just middle of the day and going, let's journal on what I'm grateful for that's already happened to this point in the day. Or being out somewhere in a coffee shop and journaling, what's great about this? That barista was friendly. Oh, this cup's warm. This coffee's nice. Just think, I didn't have to make this myself. That's pretty cool. My friend's here. You know, like just randomly, like when there's micro moments where I've got a minute by myself, I just go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to journal gratitude on this.
Yeah.
Like I may get off this call with you and go, you know, I'm grateful for this platform, StreamYard, and I'm grateful for that Emma was willing to jump on. I'm grateful for the fact that somehow my brain works in a way that it can find things to say that seem to link in a way that adds value, hopefully, to Emma's life to make her life better. Isn't that cool that my brain works that way when there are other people in the world that maybe their brain doesn't work as well because they've had a brain injury or something, and I'm like, my brain's working and words are coming out. And you know, my auntie in Canada's had Parkinson's and her speech has been affected by that, and thank God I don't have what Auntie Lois has, like little, like some. So when you do it multiple times a day, you'll just be like living in gratitude. It's powerful.
Yeah,
it's really powerful.
Yeah.
And then the second one is what I call pride logging. So pride logging is at least once a day writing down what are all the things that you're proud about yourself, about your growth, about your development. Because if there's one thing I've learned about comparing ourselves, imposter syndrome, it's that there's this concept that I've started to talk more about, which is called PB the day.
Okay.
So PB the day means personal best day. I might write a book on that at some point. PB the day means, as a kid, I used to run nationally for England, and my running coach, Bob, me and his son Rory used to run for the same like club, and he would always say, "Remember, Miles," and he would always say, you know, to Rory as well, "All you can do is PB the race." He said, "I don't care about you. Don't aim for winning or anything like that. All you're aiming to do is beat your PB." He'd be like, "Rory, your PB is 1:43.28. Miles, your PB is 1:42.16. That's what you're aiming to beat. That's all. Where he finished doesn't matter. PB the race." So for me, life is all about P being the day, meaning aim to beat Emma from yesterday.
Yes.
Aim to beat Emma from January 16, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do. So it's like, get off social media unless you're posting content that's for the value of others. Stop looking at what other people are doing in their lane and focus on, you're in lane 5.
Mm-hmm.
The gun's about to go off. All you can do is run your race, and what other people do in their lane, you can't control that. All you can do is know that the last time you ran this race, you ran it in 9.85. So you were aiming for 9.84.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think, yeah, everything you've just said there, Mars, I think for me, I do find myself comparing, you know, myself to my friends, you know, because they've got a house, you know, they're married and they've got all this, and that's what I, you know, want. And it's easy to compare. But then going back to the gratitude, you know, I've got family, you know, I have got health, you know, a roof over my head. I'm, you know, my little nephew's just been born. So I think, yeah, you got to, like you say, you got to remind yourself you're on your own journey, and don't keep comparing yourself to other people. You just got to work on yourself and keep improving.
For sure. And what I've also learned, a way to help that is, you know, for me, personal development first thing in the morning is really key, especially because your brain is most receptive to information in the morning. So personal development first thing in the morning is really key.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing that I highly recommend, which I've been doing more religiously this week, I've started to do about an hour and a half a day, because Sage is 4, so she's at an age where this is relevant to her, I feel now, is listening to affirmations.
Mm.
So when I drop her to nursery now in the morning, instead of songs, thank God I'm having a break from Frozen, we're listening to affirmations by Louise Hay. So we've got Louise Hay's affirmations on.
Okay.
And she's currently still finding it weird when she says, "I am my own best friend." She's like, but Neve's my best friend. It's very funny. But affirmations, when you say them over and over and over and over again, because ultimately, all self-belief is thoughts and thought patterns that are downloads from the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so if all we believe about ourselves is a baseline that has been dictated by other people's voices in, then we need to intentionally put voices in that make us believe good things about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I see affirmations as like, when I go to the gym, like this morning, me and Sati went with Zen to the gym, and I'm like on the chest press pushing to work the chest. For me, affirmations are like the reps for the mind.
Okay.
So personal development in the morning, affirmations in the morning is a really good way for just getting the psychology into a really strong place.
Okay.
So highly recommend those things.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
And then the last thing I want to kind of talk about was when you talked about, forgive me for not getting the paraphrase right on this, coaching those that are more successful.
Mm.
So I have a client, she's not an existing client right now, but she was a client, who was in she's a stunt double in Hollywood, and she was Carrie-Anne Moss's stunt double in The Matrix.
Oh.
Now, in worldly realm, she's more successful than me because she's a stunt double in Hollywood. I've never done that, right? I can't run up walls in a Universal Studios, right? So the world would perceive her to be more successful than me. Lowly coach in Coventry, Hollywood stunt double. How do I coach someone more successful than me? I remind myself that coaching and mentoring are two different things. So mentoring is telling a person what to do, how to make their life better. Coaching is helping a person have new ways of looking at their own world and how they can make their own life better.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the world of sport, I use a basketball example. Michael Jordan, you probably heard of, famous basketball player. He used to have a coach for the Chicago Bulls called Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson couldn't play basketball as well as Michael Jordan. Yet Phil Jackson was the coach of the Chicago Bulls for three or 4 years that Chicago Bulls won their championship. He then left there and went to the Los Angeles Lakers and won 3 titles there as well. Meaning every great successful person needs a coach.
Mm.
And even though Jordan's better at basketball than Phil Jackson, Jordan still needed Phil Jackson, because in life you can't see the big picture when you live in the frame.
Mm.
So your job as a coach for someone that you perceive to be more successful than you isn't to be more successful than them, it's to help them see their world through a different lens. That's all your job is to do.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Which means you can coach a CEO, Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, you can coach anybody. If all you do is help them see their world through a different perspective, you've achieved, you've done your job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I think I just like I said before, I think I just put a lot of pressure on myself, like with perfectionism. Just
And there's nothing wrong with having high standards, but the problem with perfection, Emma, is it's an impossible standard. Mm-hmm. Because often what perfectionists do is they don't do anything, and they're not doing anything means that they're not actually helping anybody. So mm-hmm. their perfection is useless because it's not helping people. Mm-hmm. So what they're doing is they're holding back for fear of judgment, invalidation, rejection, which means they're not focusing in the light on other people, they're focusing in the light on themselves, because ultimately they are focused on, will I be significant in the eyes of others rather than who can I help?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a friend who, she became a paramedic and she was a number 2 and she was being converted to a number 1, which means she was going from assisting in the vehicle to driving the vehicle and running the show when somebody was having a heart attack or something. And anyway, she just passed her number 1 license, if that's the technical term. And she got like a really serious 999 call, like on her first day as a number 1. Mm-hmm. And she panicked. She was like, it was like an old lady having a stroke or something. And she's like, oh, and she was really worried that she wouldn't be able to do the right thing by this lady that was having a stroke. Mm-hmm. But her training kicked in and she realized, if I'm thinking about myself, then I'm not helping this woman. So although she was scared, she knew, I don't have time to think about myself and my own shit and my limiting beliefs. There's an old woman having a stroke. Mm-hmm. If I don't get to her and help her, she could die. Mm-hmm. So that's how you need to approach your coaching.
Okay.
Is not think about shining the light on you and start shining on other people.
Okay.
It's really not about, said with love in my heart, and it's not about you, it's about other people.
Mm. And making a contribution to them.
And making a contribution to other people. Yeah. So if you can make every goal, this is what I do, if you can make every goal answer this, is that goal going to make me grow, make me help other people? If it doesn't, rethink the goal. So, you know, you hear of people that are heavily overweight who've never run a mile in their life. All of a sudden, touch wood, a family member drops dead and has a heart attack. And now they're out running couch to 5K and half marathons for Macmillan Cancer or a heart charity. Sorry, bad example. But they're basically, they're now running because they had a family member who died from something or got cancer, and they're raising money. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, they've run a marathon for their Auntie Sandra who's got cancer. Yeah, a year ago, they were like, they couldn't be bothered to go to the gym. So it's like, make your goals about growing and helping other people, and all of a sudden, achieving goals and going for goals just is so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It's sort of, yeah, changing the perspective, isn't it, like you say? Yeah.
Last thing I want to leave you with, for me, the whole call, the best thing about this call, Emma, was the advice that you gave yourself from the future. Stop trying to overthink things. Here's what I want you to do. This may be a helpful way for you to bring meditation into your life. So look up coherent meditation, and I'll send you a link to something that I do. Coherent meditation. Doing coherent meditations allows you to listen to your own intuitive inner voice a lot more. When you get yourself into a coherent state, do some research on that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want you to do is I want you to create a poster or a board or something with the words Coach Emma says ... And I want you to put that on a fridge or somewhere where you can see that every day.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you have doubt or worry or fear or uncertainty about yourself, I want you to sit and meditate. And at the end of the meditation, when you're in a really chilled state, I want you to journal, what does Coach Emma say? Because you're going to get some really good advice. And the best advice that you're ever going to get is the advice that your intuition or your heart gives you.
Okay.
So I want you to spend more time listening to what Coach Emma says. Because forget what I've said. We could have literally just ended the call if all you did moving forward was do what Coach Emma said, which is stop trying to overthink things.
Mm.
How much better would, not saying your life isn't great, but how much more at peace would you be if you did what Coach Emma said all the time?
Oh, bliss.
Right. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah. Mm.
And on that, I'm going to take you off the coaching hot seat. I'm going to thank you for being here. Thank you for coming, Emma.
No, thank you.
And I want to leave, and I want to just allow you to let that simmer. You know, we could keep going, but I feel like that's an appropriate place for you to stop and think about what Coach Emma said.
Yeah, I know what I need to do. Yeah, thank you.
And sometimes know what you need to not do.
Yes, yeah.
Because there's the opposite of doing, there's also non-doing.
It helps to say it out loud.
For sure.
Definitely.
For sure, yeah. Good. Emma, great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Great to see you.